Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the Orbital Podcast, brought to you by the Orbital Incubation Foundation at IMI Delhi. I'm Professor Devasheesh Mathur. I'm really glad to have a guest on the inaugural episode of this series, someone who's very close to IMI Delhi and someone who keeps IMI Delhi close to his heart as well. He graduated from IMI Delhi in 1998 and went on to become the managing director and a business leader of a large MNC leasing business in Canada. Today, he's a successful entrepreneur, an inspiration to our students, and a cohesive bond within the alumni community and with the institute as well. It's a great pleasure to welcome Mr. Prithviraj Dasgupta. Thank you for joining us. So, Mr. Dasgupta, you are aware that we are building a culture of entrepreneurship on campus. So, we have courses on innovation, entrepreneurship, how to have startups, ideation to incorporation, of which you have been an integral part of. Currently, we are also starting to incubate student-led and alumni-led startups on campus. So I thought that it's very important for all the people out there, people who are interested in doing good ideas, building them and bringing them to life, to be able to listen to someone like you who has been sitting here in the classrooms in the past. You went on to join the corporate sector, and then you currently you were in a position where you led businesses, and now you have a business of your own. So let me start with this first question to you. After graduating from IMI, you worked in the corporate sector in India, US, and Canada, and you became the managing director and business leader of a large MNC business leasing business in Canada, right? What made you become an entrepreneur? Why did you choose to come back? Why are you an entrepreneur right now?
So first of all, thank you, Professor Devasheesh, for inviting me to this inaugural session of your podcast. It's a great honor and privilege to be here with you. And it's a pleasure to be back at my alma mater, the beautiful campus. So it's thank you for having me here. To answer your question, why I became an entrepreneur. So my grandfather, late Dr. A. Dasgupta, Professor Emeritus, was the founder dean of the Faculty of Management Studies, FMS.
Oh, right.
One of the oldest business schools
Wow.
of India. And he would say, try to be a job creator and not a job seeker. So I could say in a way that was my oldest and earliest inspiration for entrepreneurship. After IMI, I have 28 years of full-time work experience, evenly split between the corporate sector and becoming an entrepreneur. While I was in the corporate sector, as you said, I worked in India, US, Canada for 14 years. I worked in sales, operations, projects, business development, globalization, finally business leadership. So this cross-functional experience was vital for me to prepare me, for entrepreneurship. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to understand every aspect, of your business. I co-founded my business with my wife and fellow alum, Prithviraj Dasgupta. And the questions we had to answer was where and what. The where was easy. We selected New Delhi, a city we knew well because we were born here, brought up here. And the what, I think that's where the interesting thing lies. I personally believe that you don't enter a market or a category or a product. You actually enter a gap.
True.
And we focused on residential real estate, building construction, because we noted a gap, a pain point. Delayed project completion, unkept promises, quality not as per specification, poor after-sale service. The list would go on and on.
Sure.
So we figured that there's an unmet need. There is a pain point.
Right.
And if we could reimagine the process of residential building construction using everything we had learned in our MBA, as well as our rich corporate journey, cross-functional, if we could reimagine that process and create a better product, a better customer experience, transparency, ethics,
Yeah.
and most importantly, we could fix those pain points.
Right.
We felt we would have a differentiated value proposition which would resonate with people and they would embrace it. And actually, they did.
Nice.
So, to summarize, my grandfather was an inspiration. And secondly, we could identify a gap and we decided to use all our skills and learnings to come up with a way to fix that gap.
That's actually very inspiring. Someone who's done things. In the first half, it seems like you did, structured learning. You said through MBA, you went on to do a corporate job. But what is unconventional in my head is that you left that job at a peak of your career and then you chose to come back and create, like you said, as your inspiration was. You created jobs, solved a problem, solved a market gap, and now, in the last 14 years, that's where you've reached a position. So connected to that, a question which I very frequently think about, a question which I am asked by a lot of aspirants, even my colleagues and peers, we constantly wonder about this. And recently, actually, there was a comment by a very renowned entrepreneur from India around MBA and the value that MBA brings, especially for entrepreneurs. So I wish to know from you, how did your MBA help you and how did it shape you?
And that's a great question, Professor Devasheesh. In fact, before my MBA, I was an undergrad in economics,
Okay.
Which is a core skill. And having an economics major really helps you figure many things out in life.
Yeah.
But it was only the MBA program which gave me a end-to-end, full spectrum understanding of finance, of accountancy, of marketing, organizational behavior, operations management,
Right.
product, branding. And that curriculum, that rigor, that rhythm is absolutely essential, I feel, that when you, especially for a first generational entrepreneur like me, now if you are a second or a third generational entrepreneur, then there's a lot of legacy learning, domain knowledge that's already residing.
Yeah.
But for a first generational entrepreneur, I think that formal education in a cross-functional space really helps. So I'm a big supporter and an advocate of that.
I would completely agree to that because I've been on the other side. While I did not have my own venture, but I've worked in a startup. And when I look back, we made so many mistakes which could have easily been avoided if we had gone through a formal training. So I always tell my students that MBA allows you to do structured experiments, learn faster, or what is now very a cliched and a very famous statement: fail fast, learn faster.
Exactly.
Right. Otherwise, you would make your own mistakes. It will take longer. It will be costlier. You do MBA, you learn what to do, what not to do. So I think I'll buy into your argument. Now, that takes me to another issue around, because B schools typically, especially in India, they are built around promising recruitment and job security. So majority of our students, which you already know, you would have seen throughout these years, a bulk of our students don't think of startups or being an entrepreneur as an exit strategy for them. And the trouble becomes compounded when we know of the fact that the chances of a startup succeeding is less than 10%, right? So in a chaotic world out there where there are so many variables, right from, let's say, consumer preferences to geopolitics, anything can go wrong, may not work in your favor. What do you think an entrepreneur needs to survive and thrive in the modern world? So is it a skill? What skills people need? What can give them a higher chance of success?
I would speak to four things. The first and more important is a mindset that you have to be in it to win it.
Okay.
Which means you have to, in my mind, you have to eat, live, breathe, sleep, walk, talk, your project, your goals, You have to be driven to success. You have to be committed to success. When I was going to become an entrepreneur, a lot of people asked me that, what's your plan B if plan A doesn't work? My answer was that I don't have a plan B.
Right.
And I'm going to make plan A work. And if I don't believe in myself, then no one else will believe in me. And to put money where my mouth is, my wife and I, we had two young kids, 8 and 4.
Okay.
And it was not that one of us decided to be an entrepreneur so that the other one could have a corporate job, at least to keep the income going. We believed in what we were doing, so both of us took the plunge. And I think that is important.
Yeah.
And the moment you start thinking of plan B, you're already having self-doubts on plan A. So I think that's number one.
Okay.
I think that's key. Second, vision is important, but execution is critical.
Yeah.
And you have to consistently execute time and time again, project after project. Very important.
Right.
The third thing is you can't do everything yourself. So you need to put together a high-performing ecosystem. So we put together a high-performing ecosystem of team members, contractors, vendors, suppliers, consultants, who all worked cohesively, lockstep, towards a goal. And I think fourth point and last point here would be values.
Okay.
Be ambitious, certainly, but always be anchored in ethics and values, because success without integrity is meaningless.
Well, actually, I agree with what you all said wholeheartedly, and that reminds me of a framework which we talk about in our startup course, which is essentially rich versus king dilemma. That there are entrepreneurs, especially first-time entrepreneurs, who want to be, because of their biased nature of thinking, they want to keep control of their own firm, their own idea, protect their brainchild, and they trade off scaling up faster. So in order to keep control, they kind of think all about me and not we. So that's a great way to think about a startup, that the way a startup can grow at an optimum speed is to try and become richer. Richer you can only become when you are liberal with allowing people inside, build a team which you can rely on, and not trying to be king, which will not go beyond a point. So I'm glad that we talk about those things. But related to value systems, I often reflect on the curriculum of B schools. And I find that most of the B schools around the world are geared towards creating a great employee. We prepare our participants and candidates to go and join the workforce of existing firms, very rarely to start their own firm, right? So that beckons the question, what do you think are the value systems of an entrepreneur? What does make an entrepreneur a good or a great entrepreneur?
A good entrepreneur will combine IQ, which is a given, with EQ and exceptional networking skills. A good entrepreneur will always take people along with him or her. It's always about we, not me. So you think team, and that's important. A good entrepreneur is able to embrace disruption, the uncertainty, the volatility that goes on, is able to field curveballs, is able to get out of his or her comfort zone.
Yeah.
Very important. I think a good entrepreneur will be a constant innovator, because what doesn't get upgraded gets left behind. Even in our projects, we make sure that our current project is better than the last one.
Right.
A good entrepreneur, I think, will also be humble and grounded. I read somewhere that humility is not thinking less about yourself, but it is about thinking about yourself a little less.
Okay.
So we should always be, humble and grounded.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. But then that again makes a question pop up in my head. As a business school which has made a name for itself, and in the ecosystem also, when we are doing so many things around higher education, we have a very great policy in place. But when it comes to startup culture, ecosystem building, the question should start with, and that's my question to you, how should we impart entrepreneurial skills in a business school like ours?
First of all, I think there's a lot of fear of failure.
Right.
In one of your earlier questions, you mentioned that 10% of ventures see success,
Yeah.
which means 90%, fails. So there is a lot of, fear of failure, and I think that's a deterrent. I think IMI, especially under your leadership on the entrepreneurship side, I think is a role model and a best practice. First of all, institutes must have a course to begin with at the very minimum. Second is to combine, I think, the theoretical part of learning with the practical part, which is, and I know you do it over here with great success, which is you invite alums who are entrepreneurs to come and interact with students. So students get to experience firsthand and they understand the risks, they understand the rewards. Also, encouraging students to create startups or virtual startups and go from the very beginning, which is idea conception, to where you are asking for funding,
Right.
and pitching to investors, potential investors. So I think institutes, if they are really serious about inculcating a culture of entrepreneurship and driving entrepreneurial behavior, should have a course. The industry interaction should be there, and help incubate ideas, handhold,
Right.
people who are committed and who are in it to win it. So it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But people who are committed, they are in it to win it. Then there could be a platform which connects, their passion with making it real.
Wonderful. I think that's going to be my favorite answer because it's a pat on my back. So thanks for that. All right. Now to address the elephant in the room, which all of us are aware of, and I'm not trying to pose it like it's a problem per se. It's just an observation. But when it becomes a hindrance when we try to create a culture of entrepreneurship, which essentially is that almost every B school graduate wishes to go and work in a dream corporation. They have a dream job, dream brand that they want to go and work for. And hence, entrepreneurship does not appear in their list of aspirations. How do you perceive this, and how can we change that? Some things you have already spoken about.
The way to look at it is that where is the future of work going? In India, you have the 10 plus 2, 12 years of schooling, 3 years of undergrad, 2 years of postgrad, 15 years, and you feel you're ready to enter the job market. There are enough studies out there which say that the jobs that are available today will not be available 7 years out. And the jobs that are going to be there 7 years out don't exist today.
Yeah.
We are seeing huge changes in the workplace. 4 generations are working together. The baby boomers are coming back to work as consultants. Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, all there. With AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and eventually we are heading towards AGI. The big question for everyone who is aspiring for a job, end of the day, why you're aspiring for a job, you're looking for safety. Because you feel there's risk in entrepreneurship and there is safety in a job. But that landscape is changing.
Yeah.
The ability of the private sector and public sector to generate employment is diminishing.
Yeah.
Self-employment is rising. The rising of the gig economy using tech platforms, that is rising. So the landscape is changing. Therefore, the answer to the question whether I am gunning for entrepreneurship or I'm trying to look for a corporate job, that answer goes through the future of work. and an understanding of that.
Right.
And I think people today are very self-aware. They are seeing, what is happening. They are seeing what is coming.
Yeah.
And more and more people today are talking of entrepreneurship. The very fact that we are having this conversation puts the topic front and center.
It does so. And I think I, again, completely agree with your assessment. And there's so much talk around the future of work. And it does heavily include entrepreneurship. More and more people will become job and value creators for themselves. And I think India is at a very sweet spot where, because of our strong educational ecosystems that we have, it's simply a matter in my head to give them a platform where they can try different experiments. And I think that's what we are trying to do here.
Yeah, and the only thing I would just add on to that is the mindset also is changing.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will think a startup is about having a tech platform or an app, and that's what a startup is. It is that.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. Entrepreneurship is more than that. And entrepreneurship could also involve taking an everyday business,
Right.
let's say like mine, in construction or a bakery, or a fast food, and reducing the pain points, improving the product, improving the quality, improving the customer experience. So it's not about doing different things, but it's about doing things differently.
Yeah, I like that line of yours, doing things differently. So I had not thought of this question, but because the way you were talking about it, I've thought of a question on the spot. And let me shift the spotlight to a current student. So what would you say to a current student who is just enrolled or about to enroll into an MBA and has a deep desire to become an entrepreneur while being in a 2-year program of an MBA degree? What would you suggest that these are the few hygiene things which they can do, which will create a platform for them to either immediately after B school become an entrepreneur, or in near future they can bank on that and start their own venture?
The first thing and the most important thing for anyone aspiring to be an entrepreneur, whether you are a business school student or you are already working in a corporate sector or whatever point in life you are in, the first and most important question that needs to be answered is, what problem are you trying to solve? What pain point are you trying to fix?
Yeah.
How are you trying to make people's lives better? I think that's the ground zero. That's the starting point.
Right.
After that, how good is your solution? You have to test it. There is research, then there is testing. And then a lot of, conceptual things come in terms of operations, your go-to-market strategy, funding strategy, all the technical stuff will come in, payback, return on investment. And a good MBA will absolutely clear the air on all of that.
Yeah.
But the basic thing is, what problem are you trying to solve?
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's very powerful, and it's much harder than to say it aloud. I think a lot of people don't do it either properly or they're not given enough opportunities. So I think that's on us. If we give them enough opportunities to discover problems, try and solve them, I think that's a big part of creating that culture on entrepreneurship. Perfect. All right. I think those were my serious questions. Towards the end, I want to fire some rapid fire questions towards you just in a fun way and see how do you reply to those. First up, who's your favorite entrepreneur? And let me save you from some embarrassment other than your wife. Favorite entrepreneur or a favorite startup?
I think I would go with Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And Apple.
All right. And why?
It's how it has impacted
Okay.
Our everyday lives. I mean, when we were growing up, only in a science fiction movie, you would have a gadget which could do many things.
Yeah.
Right? And when they launched the smartphone, it could do so many things, more than just calling.
Yeah.
And of course, then everything else that they brought to market.
Yeah.
Very admirable.
Truly is. Yeah, for sure. Okay. If you could be an entrepreneur for a day, other than yourself, Who would you be and why? Now, jobs is out of the way, so you'll have to pick a second one now.
I don't know if I can pick on any one. There
Okay.
are quite a few,
Yeah.
but there are great examples out there
Hmm.
of people, who have really taken on serious problems, whether it is to do with mobility
Okay.
or everyday problems, transportation, hotel reservation, travel and tourism,
Yeah.
and they have transferring money, and they have made things so easy for people,
Yeah.
and it's just so inspirational.
Great problem solvers.
Great problem
Any great
solvers.
problem solver
Yeah.
out there. Okay. That's great. Next up, as an investor, if you could ask only one question, let's say someone is pitching an idea to you and you get only one question to ask, what would you ask the founders that are pitching to you for investment?
Only one question I would ask is, what problem are you trying to solve?
Okay. Right. And they should be able to convince you with their answer. Fair enough. Okay. Your favorite IMI memory?
I think I'd go with when I met my future wife,
Okay.
Preeti.
Yeah. You remember the moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were in the same batch, same section?
Same batch, same section.
All right. I have a vision of a Bollywood movie kind of a set scene where you two met and in a B school environment. Okay. And my last question, what would be your one-line advice to future entrepreneurs?
My one-line advice to future entrepreneurs would be, don't do it for the money. Make people's lives better. The money will follow. When I go and give lectures at different B schools, a lot of questions is, how soon can I make my first million?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is, again, don't look at it just for the money.
Yeah.
But make a difference.
Right.
The money will come.
I think that's a great line on which we can now end the first inaugural podcast. Let me profusely thank Mr. Dasgupta. Thanks a lot for turning up every time we invite you here, for talking, giving such great answers. I'm sure the listeners and any future entrepreneur will benefit immensely from this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.